What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NH Experience. Online with me is a very special guest. You've seen this man all over Spectrum Sports News here in Southern California, in the Los Angeles area. You will also, now that we have some baseball coming back, you'll be seeing him on the Dodgers Network. He's also been all over. He's been with ESPN. He's been with ESPN Radio. And we'll talk a little bit about his journey and where he is right now. Joining us on the program is the one and only Kelvin Washington, better known as K-Dub. What's going on, sir? How are you?
What up, man? It's a privilege to be on with you, man. I've been watching your journey for the last few years, and just kind of mutually throughout, knowing mutual people, and then in the last, I don't know, maybe year or so, we kind of linked up. So it's good to be finally kicking it with you, man. And yeah, don't get it. I get confused too. It's Spectrum News One, Spectrum, Sportsnet, Spectrum, Sportsnet, Sportsnet LA. It's all of them. So I be getting confused too with all those names, but. Excited, man. Excited to chop it up.
Hey, man, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, man. You are a man of many talents. You are a man that has definitely been around for a good while, man, doing a great job working with Spectrum Sportsnet, working with Spectrum News One here in Southern California. I'm honored to have Kelvin Washington on with me here on the NH Experience. And so first and foremost, man, at what point did you realize you wanted to get into media and be on that side of the camera? And what did you have to do to get to this point?
That's a good question, man. I think I was fortunate, Nick, man, where I look back and I think, I'm assuming maybe you can relate, whether it be yourself or friends, where like, going into college, I kind of knew early, like, all right, I wanted to be in sports media. I thought I wanted to be your sports anchor on the news. I didn't know where the journey would take me because the journey took me some places. We'll get into that. But so I knew fairly early on, and I think I've been fortunate and blessed because of that, because I didn't do while the journey has been zigzaggy, it was still in the overall like media. I didn't go from like I want to be a teacher to now I want to be an engineer, where now I want to. So I was fortunate that where a lot of my peers kind of went into one field, went into other, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because till you get it, keep going till you get it right. But for me, I would say, man, probably like right into entering college that I knew I wanted to be in media. I kind of went in for telecommunications and film and stuck with it the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, what was some of the things that you learned along the way that helped you now as you look back on it? Some of that, maybe a piece of advice, maybe it was a lesson that you had to learn, or things along the way. Maybe it was a person or persons that kind of encouraged you along the way. What were some of those things that helped you propel you to where you are now?
Man, I mean, how much time we got? Because there's a lot of life lessons, bro. I mean, it's I think if you start from childhood, shout out to Mama Dub, always kind of instilling in me a few things. Number one, just encouragement. It's just simple encouragement, Nick, man. I think a lot of kids, unfortunately, believe it or not, aren't encouraged, and I don't mean just pat on the back if you finish 15th in a race. You know what I mean? I don't mean that kind of. I mean encouragement as far as like understanding that you're here for a purpose. You're here to fulfill your destiny. So I think I kind of got that mentality early on that there's something for me. There's something that has my name on it. And then it's out for me to kind of seek what that is and to pursue it. But shoot, man, I could go back to so many great things. I remember junior year in high school making a bunch of excuses about some sports and basketball stuff, man. And it was a rough kind of week in my life, sports wise. And my best friend's dad, man, who was a mentor to many. I'm talking like arguably the GOAT in football. He's a mentor to Tom Brady and everything. And one day he said to me, man, he said, we were lifting weights in the basement. He stopped us and he said, boy, you make more excuses than anybody I know. And I was like, whoa. It was one of those life moments where I was like, hey, because technically in my mind, I had the right because X, Y, and Z, and I had the right to feel this way. And you can even agree to that. And his point was, yeah, there are some things that you absolutely are right about, some things that, in this situation didn't go your way and weren't fair. But his point was, now what? What you gonna do about it? How do you bounce back and get better? So that was a huge moment in my life, man. I was really young, like I said, 16-ish, and that kind of shaped my mind. Like, okay, yeah, stuff happens, but now what? And you see that in a lot of people's lives where, you know, it can even be personal relationships. They get that one thing tripped them up forever, you know, for the rest of their life. They couldn't get past it. Professionally, man, what else? I think one of the things, and this is more like me telling something I would also offer to somebody advice, finding a way, bruh, and I think you can relate. Matter of fact, I know you can relate because I don't know by the time you air this, if everybody will be understand what you are doing. You are doing it. It seems like you're pushing it through your own stuff, your own way. You know, you're not just doing IG Live here. Like, I said that to say being innovative, and you have to be creative, especially if you want to be in our field. I think you can relate again because look,
Sure.
you got 100 to thousands of kids who graduate college who are like, I'm about to be, you know, in the media, in this industry. And then on top of that, bro, you got everybody who now, because of social media, they ain't even have to, they can just jump right in. Hey, I'm doing it now. I got a phone, I got a mic, what's happening? And
Yep.
so for me, I tell a lot of kids I mentor, man, you got to be innovative, right? You got to find a way to get in front of that person's face, that program director, news director, you know, that person making those decisions. You got to find a way, man, because everybody's just applying, right? Everybody's just filling it out. I applied. How am I going to get in their face? How are they going to see me, hear me, talk to me? And so you got to be very innovative, and most importantly, man, you can't give up, bro. Like you literally have to know it's happening. But what? No, it's happening. When it's happening and how, I may not know exactly, but it's going to happen. And I can honestly say it's a weird combination of grateful, um, just so fortunate, humbled. And on the other side, I knew I'd be here. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
a weird mixture of like I knew I put in the grind, I put in the work, I studied, I did my part, and then on the other side, you know, I believe I'm a man of faith, and I believe it was meant for me. So it's a combination of things: how grateful and humbled I am, but also I put in the work, and I should kind of expect to be here.
So basically, it's the grace of God, hard work, and dedication is pretty much what caused you to prevail in certain areas. And the one thing I want to talk to you about is on the radio side, because I know the TV side is obviously much different than the radio side, even behind the scenes. But what was it like for you to enter the radio side? I know you worked for iHeartRadio for a moment, or worked with them. I know you worked with ESPN LA for a particular moment in time. So tell me about those experiences, how they helped you continue to grow in the media field.
Yeah, man. Shoot, radio. I was fortunate, man. I think where I set out after school, I set out to do, TV. I was like, I'm gonna do sports TV, and it ended up working out where nobody in TV will give me a shot. I mean, news. I'm shipping back in the day. I'm shipping out tapes, old beta tapes and everything, and nobody will holler. Nobody will holler at your boy. So, radio, and this goes back to the conversation about persistence, man. Radio. I still believe in, again, being innovative and finding a way to do it a little differently. And I was going hand in hand in the sense that I was going to stations, how
Right.
can I speak to so-and-so? And I'm walking out, and I'll never forget it. A woman, the front desk receptionist was like, oh, okay, he's not here who you're looking to see. Just, leave whatever you need. I'm like, I've left stuff. I've called. She's like, yeah, he's just not in. Oh, okay. She was really nice. And as I turned to leave, guess who walked in? The guy that I needed. And I don't know him from, Adam and Steve, but she's like, that's him right there. And he looked, he kind of like, hey, what's up? She's like, oh, this is young man. And she just, because I was nice to her and we had, at a good moment, she was very kind and said, he's a good guy. And you really, y'all need, make this happen and talk to him. And it's simple. He was like, hey, man, I'm not on air. I can't get you on air, but I can get you in the promotion side. And so I got in doing promotion assistant work, man, and worked my way up from there. But I was always fortunate, man, that I got into radio first, because radio definitely trained me for television, trained me for live television. Radio trained me for live events, hosting things and being out. And I'm forever indebted to radio, and I forever will do some format of radio, whether it's podcast, radio, something. I'll be doing it because it truly allows for a full breadth of conversation, really specifically talk radio, because I went from music radio to then sports talk and then some news here in LA with KFI radio.
Right.
So that allows you to have a full breadth of conversation, right? Really express your opinion. You know how to, you do radio, you do TV. So when you get like hey, 30 seconds, tell us. You're like, all right, well, I think, but radio, when I hear you on with Fred and Rodney, longer, right? You get to have a little bit more time. You get to express your point. You counterpoint. So radio for me was just a great battleground, if you will, place to hone my skills that ended up manifesting itself in the television. I'd argue TV easier than radio. Way easier.
Really?
Way easier. And I think anybody who does both would agree with me.
Okay.
I mean, I don't get twisted. There are elements of difficulty in both, but I would argue specifically talk radio, is different because I came from music radio, right? I can do music all day, right? I can come in, all right, we're coming out of a song. I say, oh, that was Drake. Don't forget, we got his tickets coming up in a little bit. Right now, it's that new Little Baby, that extra drip on whatever, 95. I can do it, man. I can do that in my sleep all day, right? You get used to that. That's nothing to it. I can make up some right now with that. But then when I got to ESPN, and they're like, cool, this break is about 13 minutes. Go. And I'm like, oh, okay. Cool. So, the Dodgers are doing this, the Lakers are doing that. And then my co-host was saying that thing. And I'm like, all right, 9 more minutes. There's no script. There's no, you're just doing things. So talk radio, man, it's definitely, or just radio in general to me, is harder than television. Television is more set up for you to win. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got the commercial, we got this, we're gonna type the prompter, we got the scripts, we got the video elements too. It's like set up for you to at least be solid. Whereas radio, you can go on that boy, and if it's like the Apollo, they boom, man, you know what I mean? So so radio, man, I love it, man. Radio is like a battleground and also therapeutic because you really get to fully be you.
Did you find it easier having a co-host versus being by yourself? Because I know some people they can actually talk and just be by themselves and just be cool, but some people need co-hosts. Did you find it easier?
Great question. I don't even know if I fully have the answer to that because my breadth of time doing it solo was music, and I didn't really I was in my bag on the solo tip, right? Because again, I got this music to be the buffer. Or I'm about to come out of this song. I'm going to jump right into something funny, take these phone calls. Somebody go, oh, my God, you crazy. I can't believe you said. I'm like, girl, that's right. But you telling me on your first day you were that? And we haven't, boom. I don't really need a co-host for that because I'm good. Right. Sports talk radio. It's fun to bounce things off people, right? Me and you going back and forth. And I think my strongest element in anything that I do is relatability. So making a conversation relatable to anybody, right? My pride I enjoyed at the height of my time with ESPN was that if you were, and not even stereotyping, but if you're a woman who was like, I just don't care about sports. If you're a dude, I just sports, whatever, I could care less. I'll be like, no, just give us a listen. Whether it was me and shout out to Travis Rogers in the morning, whether it was me and Big Dog Marcellus in the afternoons, I'm like, yo, give us a listen. And I think the biggest pride that I take away from my time in that was that relatability, could be like people enjoy listening, who will be like sports radio, AM radio, what? Never. And they would listen and then we would get people hooked. You know what I mean? My best friend's wife, who could care less, would text me, y'all crazy. I can't believe y'all. I'm listening now. My wife, not just listening because she's my wife. She's like, listening because y'all are fools. You and Marcel, I can't believe I'm listening to y'all. And that was my biggest thing because Nick Hamilton, he gonna listen. You know what I mean? Now, he obviously, if we suck, you're not gonna listen, but you're gonna let you looking for. You looking for that sports content, you all in. Right. But to have people who are like, man, I'm not really a big sports person like that, and to really be like, yo, but y'all just listening to you guys how you do it, and I'm rocking with y'all. To me, that was the biggest praise. You know what I mean? Because you get the people who are big fans regardless. They all in, right? But to have these people who are like, man, the way y'all do it is different and unique, and I rock with you. So I said that to say I enjoyed that part of having a co-host. But the older I get, I will say, if I were to jump back in that world, I would not be mad if I had a solo show. I wouldn't be mad. Whereas you'd ask me that 3, 4, 5 years, I'm like, nah, coach. And I actually, believe it or not, I think TV has a lot to do with that.
Oh yeah, I believe it, man. I personally, I loved you and Marcellus' show together. I think you guys had really good chemistry. I think you and Travis Rogers had good chemistry as well. It was just like you said. I think it was just what you guys talked about on a daily basis. That wasn't. It was sports, but it wasn't sports. It was almost
Right.
like life. And I think that's one thing I learned personally is just trying to ingratiate life into the sports aspect and trying to hook people that aren't quote unquote sports fans or
Right.
diehard sports fans. You know what I mean? That's something I'm still learning.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? I think some of the bigger sports people you can name or think of, Colin Cowherd, I think they do that, and not everybody's different. Like I don't think Colin Cowherd is not a naturally funny person, whereas like not to, I think that's more my thing is some humor and some and
Right.
some relatability. But he does it all the time, man. If you listen to him, right? He he'll start it off by I'm making something outrageous. He'll say Russell Westbrook is under not efficient and he's terrible, right? And you like, oh, here he go. But then he'll make it relatable. He'll say it's like when you're at work and that guy who has 1,000 sales a month. But see what I mean? He took it from sports. Colin Cowherd is the king of that analogy and making it relatable. And you're like, dang, I do work with a dude. Joe is crazy at my job, and so I think he's good at that. So I think that's one of the things when people who are fans of sports, like super sports fans, I challenge them and young people to reach out to me over the years. Hey, man, I love what you do. I want to do sports radio. I want to do sports. I'm like, just because you have sports knowledge, X's and O's, I guarantee you will be shocked. And not really you now because you all in the game, but how many sports people, and maybe I'm putting out a secret here, they know sports clearly, but like they don't watch every game. They don't watch every single sport. You will be shocked how many people, but they understand the sport, they know, and they get the macro, right? Okay, it's not about that he missed 4 jumpers from the left side, 6 shots on the right side. They understand the macro. The macro is, when he's on the floor, he's inefficient and he's taken away from Harden. I'm making this up. He's taken away from Harden. Or macro is, it don't matter what Harden did last night. The macro is the storybook on Harden is until the playoffs start, we don't want to hear it. So you get what I mean? Whereas a sports like fan, the people who reach out to, they get caught up into the literal X's and O's. And when he goes dribbles to the left 75 times per, and you're like, dude, you're boring people. Like, it's not about that. It's about the storylines, the macro, the bigger picture, the threads that, there's things that thread all these things together. And, I had to learn all that. To be honest with you, man, I had to learn all that, which is why, obviously, like in anything in life, if I were to go back fully, and I still pop up Fox Sports Radio here and 570 from time to time when my schedule permits. But if I were to jump fully back into it, I think I would be even, stronger and even better because I grasp that concept now. And I'm also much more comfortable in my own skin, like not like just more like my stance, like love it, leave it. I had to get used to it, man. I always say I'm grateful for my time in sports radio because it's thick in my skin, bro, because I'm coming from music radio, Nick, where I'm the man, right? And I don't mean that. I mean what I mean is, who hates a music radio personality, right? Like everybody love Big Boy, right? You just it's Big Boy. Like how can you not?
Exactly, legend.
And how can you not like if you listening to rock, Ted Stryker, like you kind of even if you don't necessarily love him, you don't dislike him, right? And so like nobody goes out of the way to be like Big Boy sucks. You just flick to another station. So if I'm the guy that's cool, that's fun, and, I like him, dude's like, yo, that's the homie Dub. What happened when I got into sports is I'm being all, I don't know, man, Kobe this, Lakers that, Dodgers this, whatever. And it was like, raw rainstorm on me. Like, oh, shoot, I had to get used to that. Twitter lighting up. You're an idiot. Who was on the radio? I'm like, oh. And it was like a rude awakening for me, man. I had to toughen my skin, think of my skin, like, okay, people gonna scream at you, hate your opinion, love your opinion, whatever. I had to get used to that, just full transparency, keeping it real with you. I had to get used to that because coming from music, they're rocking with you. They were, oh my God, man, give me them tickets, K-Dub. I love it. What's going on? Oh, you crazy? That was funny. It's all positive, like 90% positive, right? You follow, you get used to that. Man, when I came in the radio, it was like stepping in the ring. I was Martin Payne in the ring with Tommy Hearns. You know what I mean? I'm like, man. Here's my sports opinion. And I had to get used to it. Like, oh. But again, that thing in my skin. So now if I get back into it, I have no problem saying whatever. You can call me anything. It is what it is, you know. So that if I don't get anything for my time, and that's the number one thing I'm grateful for, because I think that translates to anything in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Radio, TV, opinion about your politics, your faith, whatever. Not that you have to be a jerk about it, but just that, you know, this is where I am. This is who I am. This is what I believe, you know.
And that's the key, man. I think when you talk about radio guys, you talk about Colin Cowherd, you talk about even Bomani Jones, who can do radio and television, such as yourself, which is not easy. I tell this to kids all the time, even when I talk to them at certain schools. I'm like, look, sometimes you may just have to pick one and find out what your strong suit is. Sometimes you may discover what your other strong suits are as you continue to go along in this journey. Speaking of your journey, I mean, you've elevated to a point where you're at Spectrum Sports News. You're the guy as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about anybody else, but as far as I'm concerned, I watch what you're doing. How did you go about getting that job, and then how much flexibility and room did you have as far as being able to be yourself and have your own personality?
Man, you asked some great questions, bro. That's why you are who you are out here.
Thank you, sir.
Man, I believe that, you know, I try to really just remind myself that I believe my footsteps are ordered. And what I mean by that is not everything is calculated upon upon your own math. Like, all right, this is gonna happen to this, and this is gonna lead to this. And sometimes things are gonna knock you off with your path. But I think it's imperative that when you have, I always tell this to people, if you have that tunnel vision, right? It don't matter. You play Madden, right? Remember when they used to have a QB vision? And if you had Peyton Manning, your vision was like that. It was just the whole field pretty much. But I think that's important because, like, if you knock me off, as long as I still have that vision, knowing where I'm going, it don't matter. You knock me down a little bit. Okay, y'all chasing me. I got to get out the pocket a little bit. But I got that vision. I'm going to still head towards the mark and press towards the mark. And so I think it's imperative that you have that because, as you know, you're going to get, you got this job. I got this job. No, I don't. Things are going this way. Nope, they didn't call me back. And so when I was at Espen, man, my time at Espen, man, it got cut short. You know what I mean? It ain't no secret at this point. One day I'm on the air, literally like, oh, y'all crazy. All right, we'll see y'all on Friday. Peace. Boom, hang up the mic. We had a day off. It was a Wednesday. We had a Thursday off because the Lakers had a East Coast game, and then Friday would have been the next day. And I get a call to come in on a Thursday. And I'm like, that ain't good, Nick. That ain't good, you know? So I go in and you know, it is what it is. But I believe that was a blessing, man, for me, or maybe not, you know, not a blessing, but it was I was getting for the next thing,
right?
Which was this position I'm in now, man. Let me tell you something. So once that ended, I had opportunity. I was doing some, you know, radio here, Fox Sports Radio, 570. You know, we were, you know, having conversations and things, and so I'm doing that, starting my own podcast, and I think that was key. You can say, well, I would start my own podcast key. Number one, it was, you know, it's a deflating time, right? You go from Marcellus and Kelvin, yeah, I'm on the radio, and then it's like, damn, I'm at the crib though, and I was like, no, everybody, shout out to everybody who's been rocking with me ever since, man. They were like, Dub, start a podcast, man. I'm a fan. I'm rolling with you, man. I'm family. We've been listening, and I'm like, cool. You know, I don't really consider them like fans. They've been just family, and so I started the podcast, and I think that was key in keeping my spirits lifted, feeling like I'm working, still getting in my flow, honing on my craft. You know what I mean? Like really still pushing towards something, even though it technically wasn't like a job. And while doing that, I was still doing some TV hits here or there, HLN, CNN. And the boss over there at the time would soon be heading towards what is now Spectrum News 1. And he basically recruited me. He kept, you know, man, you looking for you? I'm like, yeah, you know, what's going on? Okay. And one day he finally could tell me the details. He's like, man, we're starting this brand new thing. It's going to be revolutionary in LA. It's going to take the game over. And I'm like, all right, he's talking good, but you know. And he's like, and I want you because you're not a normal news person, because you're not just, and that's right. And then today in LA, he's like, I don't want that. I want you to be the same dude I'm seeing on HLN and CNN. I want that. I want you to be you. And man, I'm forever indebted to Scott Warren. Shout him out because he lets me be me, man. If I start getting too far from me, he's like, yo, be you. If I have a creative idea, he's like, do it. And if it sucks, I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna revamp it. You know what I mean? And so let me tell you, brother, man, I got on and it was new. Spectrum News 1, and I'm like, all right, it's a job. I needed it. But man, when I tell you, I've been able to spread my wings like I never thought I would be able to here in LA. It's been awesome, dude. I got hired to do X and Y. Now we didn't do X, Y, Z. We done swung it back to ABC. And I went on from supposed to be the weekend anchor and doing some and reporter to my own show now, Monday through Friday, your afternoons from noon to 5. Check it out, Spectrum News 1 if you have it. And then I'm also on the evening show. I'm the sports anchor on the evening show. I'm a part of the LA Times Today show, which airs every night at 7 o'clock. I haven't been doing much with it because there was no sports.
Right.
But I'll be kicking back the following week, not next week, but the following week. I get to interview people like LZ Granderson. Shout out to my man, Arash Markazi, Bill Flashke, Bill Shankin, everybody, anybody who writes for sports. So I love doing that. And as you mentioned, I'm doing pre and post game with the Dodgers. I shoot over to whatever there's some combination thing with the Lakers side. So, man, to get there and have this opportunity to really get it in and flourish and have conversations with politicians and lawyers and policymakers. And then on the flip side, talk to some entertainment fun stuff, right? And on the flip side, talk to these protesters and activists, and to be booking people myself like, yo, we really need to talk to her. We really need to talk to him. We need to talk to them. To do live breaking stuff, be a part of Kobe's memorial, like these historic moments, passing of Nipsey Hussle. It's breaking fires, man. It's been crazy. This has been wild, man, to have this full breadth of opportunity to cover sports news, politics, entertainment, breaking news. I'm having a ball, brother. Like, I can't even hold you up. Exceeded my expectations, man, for sure. So that's how it all happened. I'm grateful. And we've been really trying to put in a good show, man. And people have been very, very receptive to it.
Well, you know what, man? You have a great team. I know my man Timothy Parker is doing a great job. You know, Nikki K, you have Alicia Rogers out there in the production. So you guys have seem like a really, really great team. And I think that's really
culture, man. You love sports. It's a culture, man. Let me tell you, and I mean it, cater our boss, like the top, woman down to, like I said, Scott and everybody. It's a culture of like, be creative. Let's try different things. Let's get in. All get along. There's no, why is he doing this? I'm not. Why is she doing that? I'm not. It's a great culture. And I think it starts also with shout out to the sports people. Everybody. They were there first, Dodgers and Lakers, and they welcomed us in with open arms. And their culture in there, man. You playing cornhole to one end and the other end, you talking smack with Big Game James, other end. I'm like, Robert Horry, man, you crazy. Let me tell you something, Robert. And it's just a lively, nice, nurturing culture that then translated to us in the news when we came there back in the fall of 2018. So it's a great place, man. I can't lie. Like, it's a great place, and I feel wanted. I feel appreciated. Feel valued, and I can't say that I always felt that in previous stops.
Couple more questions before I let you go, man. Obviously, the times that we've been talking about, the good times and the bad times we know right now between COVID-19 and racial unrest that's going on in our country as far as us fighting for justice and against systemic oppression and racism. How important is Black media in today's climate, period?
I feel like asking you that because you've been on it, bro. I see the gram. You've been on it, man. It's beyond imperative. You know why? It's because for the entire existence of media here in America, it's been told 80% of the time from a white man's standpoint. Now, obviously, over the last couple 2-3 decades, things have changed a bit. Whether it be persons of color or whether it be just women in general, it doesn't matter the ethnicity. So there's been a change a bit. But so think about that. Who wrote the history books, right? And then who created the mediums, that you're getting this information, whether it's the books, magazines, radio, television, movies, whatever it may be. And so now we're having an opportunity to tell these stories, to bring a different opinion, a different perspective, so that young people can hear Nick Hamilton on the radio and be like, man, that's a brother out here, and he's being true to himself. You catch what I mean by that? You don't have to be like back in the day. You kind of had to switch up who you were a little bit, little code switch action. And now people get to be, I get to be me on the radio and TV, and you same with you. So it's imperative, man. It's important. And And it's also you protect blind spots, right? Because sometimes it's just literal ignorance. I mean, you just didn't know any better. And then having people in the room to say, hey, man, African Americans, blacks, we don't think like that. We're not monolithic. Everybody doesn't think like that. Or this one. Hey, I'm going to be honest with you, man, that might be offensive if you portray it that way, Vice versa.
Right.
Hey, having a woman on the team, that may be offensive to women or misogynistic. Why don't we, and that's why having people and representation is important, different people in the room. So absolutely, it's imperative, man. And especially when we're talking about, in sports where you got leagues, it's like outrageous to think 70-80% of leagues are African American and you got one owner, or you got 3 coaches, or you got no GMs, or you got other stuff. That's the other part. It's those other key elements, right? Who's doing film rooms? All the assistants, equipment managers. Like nobody else is of color or of different. It's imperative that we have these positions, man. And I think right now the culture we're in, I think it went from hoping, preferring, being suggesting to demanding. I think we're in a place now where people are fed up and they're demanding change in all facets of life, whether it be police reform, like we just mentioned, broadcasting. I think people are like, man, enough is enough. Because you're hearing people speak up who I'm like, whoa, on platforms, they don't get to speak up, and they are going in. And I think people are just fed up. I think that's kind of, again, that's the climate we're in.
That's why I've always said black media matters. I think when you start seeing more black-owned media and Latino-owned media start covering games and teams and being able to have access to players as much as the other, outlets that have a slightly bigger name. When we start seeing that, that's when I start seeing that the tide is starting to turn in our favor. But I think we have made some significant strides, but we still have so many miles to go before we sleep.
No, we do, man. But as long as the thing is to continue to apply pressure, right? And in many different forms. Again, it may be the pressure is quiet pressure, meaning it might be somebody just doing their job right now we don't know about, and they know I'm about to be the program director. You get what I mean? And I'm about to change things. So everybody doesn't have to scream. And, some people quietly like, okay, here's how the change is about to happen. Watch me get in this position. Right. Watch me change the culture of this newsroom, this sports team, whatever it is. Then you got people in the front lines like yourself and me kind of posting stuff, talking about stuff, having opportunities to do this. So I think it's a multitude of ways. Some people right now, we don't even know they're on the business end, right? And this conversation right now is going to pay dividends in 5 years because they're stacking up bread, millions upon millions, and they're about to buy a team. They're about to buy that broadcast company that's going to hire you. It's going to hire me. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of ways to keep applying pressure. That's why I said it doesn't have to be one way. I'm screaming at you on media or social media or Internet. There's multiple ways to keep applying pressure. There's somebody right now changing the game as a lawyer, changing policies, demanding equity in certain things. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people who are going to be applying pressure henceforth in a multitude of ways.
Kelvin, I gotta ask you, man, what are you listening to these days, man? What's keeping your eardrums occupied?
So we in the era of Lil, right? Lil everybody, Lil Baby, Lil Wayne, Lil Durk, just Lil everybody. So I try to check in with the Lils every now and again. Let me listen to Lil. Who the latest Lil right now? Lil Baby, okay, Lil Baby, all right, Lil Durk. So I try to stay, at least abreast of what's going on with the times. Right. I still like what I like, man. As far as Kendrick is just, I mean, he's in my mind already Mount Rushmore GOAT status type, level. Who else am I listening to? I just listened to Slack right now on my way to yesterday on my way to work. I'm trying to listen to some other young folk. Who else I'm listening to, man? Eshawn Burgundy. If you're not up on him, check him out. Eshawn Burgundy. Obviously I go back to my greatest hits, my Jay-Z's. You know what I mean? My old J. Cole. Like I'm a warm up, Friday Night Lights. That era, J. Cole.
2014.
Yeah, that's about where I kind of max off right there. I was just listening to Victory Lap again from Nipsey to really just appreciate. That was a special project, man. I think it encompassed a lot. Who else I'm listening to, man? It's a lot. That's a lot, man. My stuff is eclectic, man. Currency, Lecrae, You know, it depends
Okay.
on kind of the mood I'm in, man. I mean, if sometimes I need a lot of intellectual things, man, and just I want to hear some stuff that's gonna spark my brain. And then on the flip side, every now and then, I need to turn up. I'm falling asleep on my way to work. I need to turn up a little bit. So I'm always open to new people too, man. So let your boy know if I'm missing out on something.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a group called Villain Park, some MCs.
Okay, yeah, you just put me up on that. I ain't up on that.
I know you peeped out D Smoke's album.
D Smoke, Soup. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's like my lane. That's my lane. D Smoke. Like I said, the Kendrick, right? The Coles. D Smoke was a really good, I believe, first national big project, right?
Yeah, big time project. Yeah,
that's a great body of work to be your first main real offering, man.
Yeah, it was incredible, man. I mean, I went back and listened to some of his old mixtapes, man, and I was just like to see the growth in that dude, man, it's just remarkable, man.
Isn't that great, man? When you find somebody first, you like I could tell you a few people I found first and was like, yo, this person got it. I remember listening to a Tory Lanez mixtape. I just moved to California, and I was like, this dude, he's talented. Like he can rap, he can sing, in the thought process. Now his music actually is way different than he's more lady friendly commercial now than he was then on his mixtape era. But I remember spotting him and then seeing him blow up was cool. West Side Boogie, ain't that his name?
Oh yeah, West Side Boogie's dope.
I remember peeping his stuff and being like, oh, he's different. And obviously J. Cole off the warm up, man. I remember listening to that. I was like, who is this dude? So I'll be spotting people early, man. Your boy is a talent scout out here in these streets.
I hear you. I mean, I remember listening to J Rock, and I was so happy that J Rock got his Grammy Award, man, because that brother had put in work for years.
J Rock. So there's like a group of artists I want more from. Like I don't know what it is that, like J Rock is in that, and I like him more than I like the next person I'm about to name. Wale's people that I want to like more. Like Wale, I'm like
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Like I should like him more. And J Rock was in that category, except I do like him more. So like you mentioned, I'm glad he had a good year. What was that, like 2019-ish?
Because that Redemption album was fire. Like he put all his all into that project, and you can tell, man, like he grew to such a different level, man. I was so happy for that dude, man. Just remembering him from, the Lil Wayne track that he did.
Yeah.
Way back when he was on Warner Brothers. Yeah, and then
was that My Life?
All My Life, yeah.
Yeah.
One last thing, we finally got some sports coming back. We got Major League Baseball. You're gonna be doing some Dodger coverage, I know. We got NBA coming back with the Lakers and the Clippers. MLS is returning with the Galaxy and LAFC and the rest of the teams. Are you excited at all? Do you think we'll still have sports even with the rising COVID cases that we keep seeing in our state, which is California, Texas, Florida, and so many other states?
Man, let me tell you something, man. Big business, trumps a lot. And when you got millionaires talking to billionaires, and they're like, one thing we know about rich people is they love being rich, and money, they love keeping money. And the idea of losing a full season or losing half a season or losing, this type of thing that can affect the contract next year, they're going to try to play every sport. But honestly, as they've tested 300 plus players in the NBA, 16 came back positive with coronavirus. So how are you truly going to what do you do if Anthony Davis gets it, right? Paul George, let alone Kawhi or LeBron. How do you handle this? It's just going to be very, very, very difficult, man. So do I think they're going to try? Yes. Do I think there will be some leagues or teams that might be more successful than others? Yes, but it's going to be tough, man. How the heck is football going to do it, man? You're an offensive lineman. The minute I snap, I'm in your face, you're in my face. We pushing, sweating, spitting and it's 50-something guys and everybody's going home in different places. And again, this isn't a wrong thing. Like, you can get coronavirus. You didn't do anything wrong. It just happened. It's very, very contagious, man. I talk to doctors every day. I had a nurse on my show today. It's extremely contagious. So it's not like you did something wrong. You were doing it. You don't know, man. You touched that handle, somebody else, had it. They sneezed, they touched the handle. Now you have it. It's just, my Chick-fil-A over here got shut down. 4 people got it. And the Chick-fil-A. Now, how many people did they put on the handing you your cup. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I don't want anybody with legality, but I'm just saying the possibilities. You know what I mean?
You never know.
And so I just think they're trying to make it happen. I respect it. I get it. But, man, it might run rampant, man, because if one dude gets on a team, there's 3, 4 kids, and now you have a playoff situation with no – and even if it's not a star, but what if it's role player? What if it's Lou Williams, Trez Harrell, and Shamit out for the playoffs? Like, dang. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's serious, man.
So we'll see, man. Good luck to him, brother. It's, as they say, Godspeed, because it's going to be hard as heck to manage, man.
You ain't lying with that, man. You know what? I just want to say, Kelvin, I thank you personally for coming on. I know it was a lot to try to make this work, man, and I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your time.
It's all good, bro.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for what you do and what you've accomplished and how you represent us and our community day in and day out on the network, man. So I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you always representing and always doing the best A1 job that you can do. You definitely are inspiring to not only myself, but many others that watch you, bro, like real talk. So I just want to get you
that. Real talk. That means a lot, man. I'm glad we finally, I don't remember who, somebody kind of linked us up. Do you remember who?
Jay from Compton.
Shout out to Jay from Compton,
yes,
man. That's
sir.
a real cool too. That's a real hope him
and brother.
Well, man. But I'm glad, like I said, whenever that happened last year or two, whatever, we've been able to kind of connect more. Because like I said, I've been watching you do your thing, man, putting in the work, putting in the grind, and I appreciate your relentlessness in a couple of ways of just wanting to be obviously on the scene and covering it, but also understanding the bigger picture, masterminding it. And I see what you're doing. You know what I mean? You're really trying to equity and ownership and making things happen, and I love it, man. So anytime I can help, man, I definitely I gotta get you on the show too, man. We gotta get you on my show
anytime.
Once we get back rolling in the next, I guess, 3-4 weeks or so with some sports, man, we'll definitely get you on and let's do it again, bro.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. You know me. Find me anytime, brother. Thank you so much. And please let everybody know where they can continue to keep up with you and follow you on social media.
Simple, man. KDub Live, KDUBBLIVE. That's the same for Twitter. That's the same for the gram. I'm really I'm trying to get back to being a little bit more active on Twitter. I definitely have stepped up my pace more on the gram, man. And I ain't ticking yet, man. I ain't really ready yet. You know what I mean? Only ticking, talking. I'm doing is popping and locking. That's about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get there in a minute, but I'm gonna get on TikTok in a little bit, man. We got kids, so maybe I'll use my kids as like, you do something cute, give me some followers, do something cute.
Right. Yeah, I'm not doing TikTok because of what their stance is, so I kind of faded away from TikTok.
I missed that. Hold on. See, let's talk about that off it. See, I missed that. Now I'm about to delete TikTok. Here you go, man. You got me deleting TikTok.
Oh yeah, man. They weren't supporting people that were protesting or Black Lives Matter. They weren't posting that. They said they refused to do it. So I was like, okay, well, I ain't supporting you then. If you're not supporting what?
Because I say a lie. I would say half the great content I see people post on Instagram is from TikTok.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. And I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, guess what? I'll be pressing the delete button when it comes to mine.
Right. Well, I didn't know that. Now you hit me again. I gotta research that, bro.
Yeah. Make sure you do that, man. For real.
Yeah. But I appreciate it, man. You stay safe, stay healthy, brother. I'll talk to you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You and your family have a great rest of the day, and you all stay safe as well.
Yes, sir, brother. I'll holler.